Hi everybody, a very warm welcome back to MEC-TEC. We are out on the driveway at the moment, as you can see, with the old black cab. Now I've been, at the time of recording this, driving this around for about 4 months now and racked up about 6,000 miles, and I've started to get a little bit of clonking from the front suspension, so we need to get it up in the air, find out what's going on, and also I want to look at the brakes as well, because the brakes make a bit of a funny noise. It is due its PCO test at the end of the month. So that's where we have the white plate renewed on the back of it to say it's licensed as a cab, and it does need an MOT within a week of that being done. So it's actually due an MOT tomorrow at the time of recording. So let's get it up in the air and see what we got. I've got gloves on for this because these are notoriously manky when you take these off. What I'm expecting to see is the upper control arm bushes are going, because that's usually what causes a knocking on these for some reason. They do tend to go quite a lot, and obviously because they've got such a big tight turning lock, it puts a lot of pressure on them. So we'll get these off. And, by the looks of it, the discs might want changing as well. Obviously I want to sort this out now because I don't want the tyres to start wearing unevenly. It's a bit wet around this bearing as well, so it may be that the bearing wants a little bit of grease packing into it as well. This is actually the first time I've taken the wheel off this cab since I've had it. I've not had to do anything to it up to now. Right, discs are quite lipped. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and get a bar. I'm going to have a little pry around, see what we can see as far as what's loose and what's got play in it. I'll come back to you in a second. Okay, I'm just going to obviously go through these bushes. Now I'm very surprised actually, look absolutely fine. There's no play in them at all. Give them a little, try and get a pry bar in there. It's got a bit of play in that one. Not much though. Not loads. Less than I thought actually. The other thing that goes on these is the ball joints fail. Not fail, but they start knocking, you know. I was hoping I was going to see something obvious. Nothing, no play in that. I mean, they're pretty, what I would say agricultural, these cabs, because obviously they take a bit of a battering with some of the roads in London. I can't see anything wrong on this side at least. I wonder if it might be the anti-roll bar creaking. Maybe I'll look at the anti-roll bar bushes in a minute as well. The link rods are on there alright, there's nothing wrong with them. There's no play in anything. I'm just going to swivel the steering slightly, see if it moves anything untoward. There's no play in that I can see. Okay, let me get you set up on the other side and we'll have a look at the other side. Okay, we're on the other side now. I'm just going to do the same check again. There's nothing. There's a split in that bush there. You see that on the camera? I wonder whether that could be causing something. There's not any major excessive movement in it. A little bit perhaps. It's just seems a bit clunky when you're going over bumps. bottom suspension arms are absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with those at all. No movement in them. This is a bit annoying because I was hoping I could find something easy and sort it out quick. The brake discs definitely want changing. I can see that though. That's what my funny noise is. It's what a whistling noise, and it's when you brake, and it's obviously where the pads are vibrating against the edge of the disc there, where it's lipped. It's got quite a big lip on the back and the front. So I think we'll be changing those, and I've seen online you can get some upgraded ones which are drilled and grooved for a bit better braking performance. I may get those as well. Right, I'm going to keep doing a bit of investigation work, and if I find anything I'll come back to you in a second. Right, I think I may have possibly found part of the culprit, if you can hear this on camera. That bearing has got a bit of play in it. Now, it's not uncommon for these to have play in them. In fact, the PCO used to ask for these to have a slight play in them. So what I may do is buzz that off, repack that with grease, just nip it up slightly. I mean, I may not even have to repack it with grease, it may just want a little tweak. It's got a castellated nut inside here, which obviously you pop this cap off, and then there's a castellated nut inside. So you can just tweak it up slightly to take the play out of it. What I might do as well is I'll quickly put the wheel back on and see how much play it's got on it, rocking the wheel back and forward. But obviously if you can feel it without the wheel on like that, then probably going to feel it with the wheel on even more. So let me get the wheel back on and I'll show you. I've just put the wheel back on with just 2 bolts to and I've snugged them up so there's no play in the bolts. You can hear this now. Definitely think that needs a bit of tweaking. I don't think it's anything major. As I say, these are a roller taper bearing on these with a castellated nut, so you can obviously adjust the tension on them. But yeah, I'd say that is a little bit excessive. So I'm going to buzz that cap off, see what state we're in with grease inside, and then we'll just tighten the nut up slightly, see what we get. Okay, I've just popped that cap off. There's virtually no grease in there. I don't know why that is. I would have expected to see at least a bit of grease in the cap to obviously keep it lubricated. Now you can see in there, I did say it was a castellated nut. It's actually a castellated lock washer that goes over the nut, and you've just got a split pin that goes through it. So basically all I'm going to do is take that split pin out there, just bend the end back over, pull it through, take the castellated washer off or cap off. That will allow me to get to the nut behind, and then take the nut off and get the bearing out. I'm probably going to have to pop the caliper off as well to obviously allow the whole thing to come off. So I really want to get some more grease in there if I can, because that doesn't look very very greased up to me. I'll take the front off first and see what it's like inside, and then go from there. Let's carry on. Rightio, okay, with the hub off, as you can see, it comes off as a hub and a disc complete. Looks pretty manky in there, look. So that's obviously the bearing there. It's got grease all in there, so it's not going to run dry or anything, but it just looks like it wants a little bit more, and also a little bit tighter on the old middle nut. You can see the big middle nut in there. I actually undone that with my fingers, it wasn't even tight, so it shows you it was only just literally nipped up, but obviously it's worked its way slightly loose with a bit of wear on the bearing or whatever over the time it's been on there. Looks like the pads haven't got long to go either. Look, you can see the wear sensor there, and it's just almost down to it. It's actually scraped it off where I've pulled it off the edge of the disc, because there's such a big lip on the edge of the disc. So I'm going to have to get pads and discs for this fairly soon, which I kind of knew, but obviously wasn't sure until I had a look. So yeah, I'm going to clean this up, get all this old gunky grease out, and put some fresh stuff in there, and hopefully we should be good. Let's carry on. Right, having had a little look at this a bit more, and the state of it inside here and everything else, and the ABS, look how clogged up that ABS ring is. I wonder if it even worked. And obviously I have to clean all that out. But I wasn't very happy with these discs and pads, so I've just been to Euros, got some new ones, new pads and discs, so, and some brake cleaner. So we'll get all this cleaned up now, and we'll do it all properly the first time, so we haven't got to have the bearing on and off and all the rest of it loads of times and faff about and whatever. Right, I want to get cleaning, and I'll come back to you in a little while. Right, I'm on the bench, as you can see. I really need to have a big clear up in here because there is stuff everywhere. And I'm literally falling over stuff. Anyway, that's enough of that. I've got the disc clamped in the vise, and I found that's the best way to get these undone. Now, as I said earlier, the discs on this are held on. They're actually bolted to the back of the hub, rather than it just being on a normal disc where it just pulls off the front. You've got one screw, or even not any screws, so then it's just held on with wheel bolts. On these, they've got Allen headed bolts on the back of here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need to get those undone. And usually, I've found in the past with my old cab, the hub is always stuck to the disc. So once it's undone, it probably won't come away. We'll have to give it a smack with a hammer, and hopefully it'll come off. So I'm going to get these undone, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Rightio, with a bit of persuasion with the old hammer, we got it off. So now we can get this surface on here. I know it doesn't make any difference, but I just like to clean it all as I go. So I'm going to get that all wire brushed and cleaned up with some brake cleaner, and then it's going to hopefully show this edge a little bit more. And I want to very carefully pop this back seal off so I can take the inner bearing out from in there and repack it with some new grease. And while I'm here, I'm going to grab the grease. So right, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to get this cleaned up now, and then obviously go from there. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? I know it's not strictly necessary, but obviously it's nice to get things cleaned up as you go along. I'm just going to run a little bit of either wet and dry, or even just a wire brush over this, just to get any residue off of there, because there's a little bit of residue on there. And I'll put a bit of copper grease on here to hopefully stop this sticking for when I have to change the pads next time, because chances are I'm going to have to do it again. Well, I'll have to do it again in the life of the cab. So I'll just give that a little wipe there. We'll get that as flat as we can. Now this seal on the back, by the looks of it, I think it pops out from inside, so that is going to be a bit tricky to get that out without damaging it. That's my only concern at the moment. So I'm going to have a little look at that and see how much leverage it needs, and if I can gradually get it out without damaging it, so I can repack that rear bearing. In the meantime, before I do that, I'm actually going to get the new discs out here, and as you can see on that one, obviously they're not coated. Like if you saw my C1 video, they were coated, which means they didn't have any oil on them, and because obviously they usually brake discs, they come in like a packing oil. This, so you can see like in here, all this patination on here is all the oil, so you need to clean that off obviously on new discs before you put them on, otherwise it will contaminate your pads. But with the C1 discs that I did, it didn't have that, because they were actually coated with like a special paint type coating. These ones haven't got that, and obviously I want to stop them rusting like that one has. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean these up with some brake cleaner now, and I'm going to give them a little coat of the cold zinc gal spray that I've got, same as I did with the rear discs on the MX-5, and hopefully that will stop them corroding so quickly. I might put a bit of tape around the very middle, just to obviously so there's a clean band there, because I did find on the MX-5 it took a little while for it to wear off. So if I just leave a gap like that, either end, same as that disc there, that should be somewhere near it for this one, so that it won't corrode then, hopefully. And obviously I'll do the back and the edge as well, because you can see on that one heavily corroded that is on the edges, and on the back inside the fins there, look, it's absolutely, it's like it's been in the bottom of a lake. So yeah, I'm going to get that done, and then while that's while that paint's drying, then obviously we can have a look at this bearing, go back to the original job that I started in the first place. Let's carry on. Okay, I managed to get this seal out, as you can see there, by very carefully going around it with a crow foot bar. It has got some funny shapes on the back of it. I don't know whether I've done that or whether it's already shaped like that, because it looks like it's machined like it around the edge. If not, then I may have done that, in which case I'll have to just tap that back down again. But the actual seal itself is intact, so that's good. So now we can get to the bearing, which, as you can see, it's got all solidified grease all over it, which is not good. You see there's a big lump there, look. That's a solid lump. So we're definitely doing the right thing, taking this out and re-greasing it. So I want to get all this cleaned out and then I'll come back to you. Okay, you can see in there now, that is spotless in there, and all the stuff that come out of it literally was lumps of dry grease. It was doing absolutely nothing. You can see in that bag there, it was terrible. So God knows what it was running on, but someone didn't knacker the bearing, to be honest with you. So I'm going to give the bearing a little bit of a clean out. I'm not going to clean everything out of it, I'll just get all the gunky bits off of it, and then we'll repack this, repack that, put the rear seal back on, then we can put the disc on. Then we can put the front bearing back in and do the same. I have got to quickly flip those round and paint the other sides as well. So I'm going to get that done in between times, so I'm not waiting for them to dry. Let's crack on. Rightio, as you can see there now, that bearing is spotless. And in the end I did actually run a little bit of brake cleaner through it, just because it was so gunked up and it was really stuck and sticky, where the grease had just gone to solid basically. So that is lovely and free again now. It's almost like a new bearing again as far as cleaning this. So now I'm going to repack this with grease, repack the housing, which as I showed you is all nice and clean in there now, and then we can start putting things back together. Let's carry on. Okay, you would have seen that bit there, that time lapse me packing this with grease. Now the way I was doing it was putting a bob of grease in the palm of my hand, and then you manipulate the bearing, pushing it onto the grease and dragging it into it. And you can see on the top there now, that is where it's oozed through from the other side. So that is how you know that the bearing is fully packed, because it's come from this side of the cage all the way through and it's pushing out the top now. So now what I'll do, I'll give it a little turn, spin it round, get it all sort of worked in, and then we can here you go, like that. See, just get it all worked in. You can see it's absolutely packed all the way through, so that should do it the world of good, because when I took it out there was virtually no grease in it. Although there was grease around it, there was none in it, so that wasn't ideal. So it's lucky we did this when we did, because otherwise I think the bearing would have probably burnt out or collapsed or done something, or it's okay at the moment, so it's a good job that we're doing this now. So I'm going to get some grease put in the housing here, and then we can get this put back in, get the seal put back on, and then we can start on the disc. Let's carry on. Rightio, we're back on the workbench as you can see, and put the rear main seal back in there again now. Sorry, the rear bearing seal I should say. I managed to reshape the inside of that where it was a little bit bent, so that's all good. So I'm going to put a little smear of copper grease around this mating surface in here, a little bit, just so that it's got something in there to hopefully stop it sticking. So next time when I have to do discs and pads on this, it won't hopefully be as hard to get off. Not that it was that hard, but even so. So just best practice to put a little bit of that on there like that. And we've got our new disc, which is now unmasked. Bit of a funny shape and pattern as you can see, but around the edge, but still. So we'll just lay it on there, line the holes up like that. And I've got my bolts. I've just wire brushed them all, just to give them a little bit of a clean. Basically I'm just going to buzz them in, reverse what we did before, and then we can get it back on the cab. Let's carry on. Right, now we've got the hub and everything back together. You can see by this, obviously this needs all cleaning and everything else. Now I've actually got this bolted back on there, only loosely, but bolted back on the hub for now, just so that it's not hanging on the brake hose, because obviously that's bad for that. And while it's in this state and the disc's not actually on there, what I'm going to do is use it to my advantage, and I'm going to give this a clean as it is now. Then I can take these two split pins out. You see obviously they're bent over, just need to bend them straight, they slide out. You've got these two little spring clips underneath them, and that's all that holds the pads in. So I can actually change the pads, clean up all the pistons and everything else while it's sitting here like this, and then that will save me a bit of aggro of it falling all over the place and getting the new disc all manky and everything else. So that is the plan. I'm going to give this a good old clean, get the pads out, get the pistons cleaned up, get the new pads in, and hopefully we should be good to go. Let's carry on. you're probably going to think he's completely daft doing it like that. Why doesn't he get something to clamp one side and then the other? Well, the reason for that is I did it that way is because I want to make sure that all the pistons were free and moving, and by working them all in and out one by one like that with a bit of WD-40 on the seals as it went round and went in and out, that confirmed to me that all the pistons are now free. Not that they weren't before, but obviously where the piston that's been exposed has been out, it may have got, well, it's got a little bit of corrosion on it. So obviously I've cleaned that up with a bit of wet and dry and a very fine wire brush so that as not to damage the chrome on the pistons. And now I've confirmed to myself that all 4 pistons are moving in and out fine, which then now allows me to get the pads in, get the hub and the disc back on, and then I've got to do the whole lot again on the other side. Let's carry on. Sort of show you the difference in the pad wear, new to old, or thickness I should say. It's a fair bit different, isn't it? You see that there? So yeah, they were definitely due for changing. So let's get these in. Hopefully that will improve the pedal feel as well. They're basically these just, I'm going to put some copper grease on the back of them because these ones haven't actually got a sound pad on the back of these pads. These are Pagid, same make as the discs. Some of the new pads now, like Brembos and stuff like that, have actually got a pad on the back for the anti-squill pad sort of thing, but these haven't. So I'm going to put some copper grease on these just so that they're coated. Don't need too much, just a little bit. We'll get that in. It basically just slides in like that. Obviously put it level, put the 2 clips on the top, split pins back through. Job's a good one. Let's carry on. There we go, that's one side complete. I've just pumped the pedal. It's got a little bit of tension on it, obviously where the pads are brand new and they've got not a lot of room to spring back, but hopefully that will sort itself out once they get a little bit of wear on them. Nothing really to speak of as far as drag, so that's all right. The bearing feels good, so hopefully that should sort the problem out. Now I'm going to check the bearing on the other side now because I didn't check that earlier, and we'll see if that one needs repacking as well, because obviously we've got to take the hub off to do the disc anyway, so might as well sort the bearing out while we're there. Let's carry on. Rightio, we're back on the driver's side again now. The passenger side's all buttoned up. I've got the wheel back on just to see if this bearing's got any play in it, and sure enough, it's not as bad as the other side, but it has got a bit of play in it. So I think that could be what my clonking noise is, hopefully, with any luck. So I'm going to get this one off. Obviously we've got to get it all off anyway to do the discs and pads. While we're there, we'll get this bearing out and check it all out, and probably do exactly the same thing, repack it all, and I'll show you along the way if I find anything that's worth showing you. Let's carry on. Looks like it's more of the same on this side. Look at this front bearing I've just took out. Absolutely caked with hard grease. Look at that. So that is not good, and there's not a lot of grease in the housing either again, so it's definitely more of the same. It's not good at all. So definitely caught these just in time. Whether they've been replaced and not packed properly, I can't imagine they were from factory like that. I mean, it's done 103,000 miles, or nearly 104,000 miles, so they can't be the original bearings, I wouldn't have thought. If they are, they've done well to survive. So I've got the hub off, as you can see there. I'm going to get all this on in the vise, get all the disc off, same as before, clean it all up, yada yada yada, and get it all sorted out. Let's carry on. Right, as you can see in there, I've got all the old grease out, and it's more of the same, I'm afraid. Look at that. It's all rock hard lumps of grease and just general mank that shouldn't be in there. So a good job we're doing this side as well. I've cleaned up all the outside of the hub. I'm going to wipe the inside out, then get some brake cleaner in there, wash it all through. I've washed all the teeth out on the ABS ring on this side as well. They were full of well, just gunk basically. I don't know how it was even reading that the teeth were there, because they were full up with, packed with stuff. A bit like that side where I've missed. Don't need to give that a bit more of a clean. Yeah, so we'll carry on with that, get it all put back in with new stuff, same as the other side, and carry on. Right, as you can probably tell by the light situation, it's now dark. I'm still going. So that is all clean now inside there. You can see it's completely spotless. So I'm going to get that packed with some grease. I've got the bearing over there, freshly packed with some more grease. That's all new grease in that bearing there now. So I'm going to get some in the hub, get the bearing in, get the rear seal back on. Then we can start putting the hub back together, get the front half of the bearing done as well, and get the hub back on, bolted on, and then we can do the, well actually no, we've got to put the disc on first, then we can get the hub bolted back on, and then we can do the pads, and then hopefully I can go in and have a rest. So I'm knackered. Let's carry on. There we go, that is all back together. Hub cleaned, re-greased, bearing cleaned, re-greased, caliper cleaned, and pistons worked in and out, same as I did on the other side with a bit of WD-40 to make sure they're all free moving. Greased up these pins, new pads, new disc, and hopefully that should be job done. I've got MOT in the morning, so fingers crossed it's all right. Oh dear, what a long day. As you can see, it is pitch black, and I'm still sitting out on the driveway. MEC-TEC4 in the van's tucked up in the garage, look, along with all the other rubbish that's in there. I'm going to have to clear that garage out, it's getting ridiculous. There we go, job done. Morning everybody, as you can see it's the next day, and we've been in for MOT this morning, and I'm pleased to say, dun, 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 it's passed, yes! So that's really good news. All the hard work yesterday has paid off with the brakes and the bearings, they're all good. It passed everything else, no problems at all the lights, everything, all the normal checks. So now it is ready in theory for the TFL check, which is where they go through the cab, make sure they're happy with the condition of it and cleanliness of it and all that sort of thing, make sure there's no body damage, all that sort of thing, and obviously then give it its new plate on the back there. So that is at the end of the month. There are a couple of other jobs that I want to do on the cab before that, which will come in a future video, but for now I think this video is fairly long, so we're going to leave it there on this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, maybe if you're new here, consider subscribing, hitting that little button down there, and give us a thumbs up on the video if you do like what you see. I have got Instagram, as I've said before, MEC_TEC1985, and I have got Facebook, MEC-TEC. So if you want to look me up on there for little sneak peeks during the week, obviously you can do that as well. And all that is left for me to say is, if you want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, I'll see you again next time. Cheers guys.